A shocking video of Diddy Combs has surfaced showing a violent altercation with his ex-girlfriend. This footage, hidden for years, is now at the center of his recent arrest. What does this video reveal about the music mogul's dark side? The video, which was recorded back in 2016, shows Combs in a heated fight with his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura. It only became public recently, and it's causing a huge stir in the entertainment world. People are talking about it all over social media and news outlets. In the video, we see Combs chasing Ventura and getting physical with her. It's pretty intense stuff, and it matches up with what Ventura said happened in a lawsuit she filed against him. This video is a big deal because it's actual proof of what she claimed. Now, you might be wondering what happened next. Well, let's just say this video led to some serious consequences for Diddy, but we'll get to that in a bit. For now, let's take a closer look at what's in this shocking footage. What's in the video? You've seen celebrity scandals before, but this video takes things to a whole new level. What exactly does it show that's got everyone from fans to federal investigators so worked up? The footage, captured at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles back in 2016, reveals a disturbing scene that's sending shockwaves through the entertainment industry. In the video, we see Diddy Combs and his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in what appears to be a heated argument. But things quickly escalate beyond just words. Combs is seen chasing Ventura through the hotel, and what happens next is truly shocking. He grabs her by the neck, throws her to the ground, and then kicks her while she's lying there motionless. This isn't just some tabloid gossip or rumor, it's actual video evidence that matches up with the serious allegations Cassie Ventura made in her lawsuit against Combs. In that lawsuit, filed in November 2023, Ventura accused Combs of a pattern of physical and sexual abuse throughout their decade-long relationship. She described similar incidents of being punched and thrown, as well as being forced into drug-fueled sexual situations. The video's release has been a real game-changer in this whole situation. Before, Combs might have been able to brush off these claims as just accusations, but now with this footage out there for everyone to see, it's a lot harder for him to deny what happened. It's like the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in this case, the video speaks volumes. What's really interesting is how long this video stayed hidden. It was recorded back in 2016, but it's only now coming to light. That's 7 years where this incident was kept under wraps. It makes you wonder what else might be out there that we don't know about yet. The public's reaction. As the footage spread like wildfire online, the public's response was unlike anything the music world had ever seen before. Social media platforms exploded with reactions from shocked fans and industry insiders alike. The video of Diddy Combs attacking Cassie Ventura sparked an immediate and intense backlash, with millions of users expressing their disbelief and outrage. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. A major music mogul, someone who had been in the spotlight for decades, caught on camera in such a violent act. It wasn't just gossip or rumors anymore, this was real, undeniable evidence, and the public wasn't about to let it slide. Calls for accountability flooded social media feeds. Users demanded justice for Cassie Ventura and questioned how Combs had managed to keep this incident under wraps for so long. The hashtag #JusticeForCassie started trending, with supporters sharing their own stories of abuse and calling for change in the music industry. What made this particular celebrity scandal different from all the rest? Well, for one, the video provided concrete proof of the allegations. In the past, Combs had been able to settle lawsuits quietly and move on. But now, with millions of people witnessing his actions firsthand, there was no easy way out. The timing of the video's release also played a big role in the public's reaction. It came at a time when society was already having important conversations about power dynamics and abuse in the entertainment industry. The #MeToo movement had opened many people's eyes to the prevalence of misconduct by powerful figures, and this incident fit right into that narrative. CNN's decision to air the footage significantly amplified its reach and impact. Suddenly, it wasn't just social media buzzing about the video, it was being discussed on major news networks too. This brought the story to an even wider audience and added a layer of legitimacy to the allegations. The public's response highlighted a cultural shift in how we view celebrities and their actions. People were no longer willing to separate the art from the artist or excuse bad behavior just because someone was famous. The overwhelming sentiment was that no one, no matter how rich or powerful, should be above the law. As the story unfolded, more and more people started questioning other aspects of Combs' career and personal life. Were there other incidents that had been covered up? Had the industry turned a blind eye to his behavior for years? These questions fueled further discussions about accountability and the need for change in the music business. The intense public reaction also put pressure on brands and other artists associated with Combs. Many began distancing themselves from him, not wanting to be caught up in the controversy. This showed just how much influence public opinion can have, even on someone as established as Diddy, from video to legal trouble. While the public outcry was deafening, it was just the beginning for Diddy. Behind the scenes, federal investigators had already been quietly building a case against the music mogul. What they uncovered next would shatter his carefully crafted image forever. The shocking video of Sean "Diddy" Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura wasn't just a PR nightmare. It was the key piece of evidence federal agents had been waiting for. You see, Homeland Security investigations had been looking into Combs for months, way before this footage ever saw the light of day. They were investigating some pretty serious allegations, including sex trafficking. When the video hit the internet, it was like striking gold for the feds. It gave them exactly what they needed to move forward with their case. But here's the thing. Combs had no idea what was coming. While the world was talking about the video, he was out and about in New York City, acting like everything was normal. Picture this. Diddy's walking down the streets of Manhattan, smiling and waving at fans. He's taking selfies, signing autographs, just another day in the life of a music icon. But little did he know, federal agents were closing in. It's like something out of a movie, right? The superstar going about his business while the authorities are about to turn his world upside down. Now you might be wondering why the feds were so interested in Combs in the first place. Well, it turns out they'd been interviewing over 50 victims and witnesses related to allegations against him. That's a lot of people coming forward with stories, and the investigators were piecing it all together. The video was just the final piece of the puzzle they needed. It showed that the claims against Combs weren't just talk. There was real, visual evidence of his violent behavior, and that was enough for the feds to make their move. So there's Diddy, hanging out at a Manhattan hotel, probably thinking about his next big business deal or music project. And then boom, Homeland Security agents swoop in and arrest him. Can you imagine how shocked he must have been? One minute he's a free man, the next he's facing some really serious federal charges. We're talking racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, among other things. These aren't your run-of-the-mill celebrity scandals. These are heavy-duty federal crimes that could land Combs behind bars for a long time if he's found guilty. Now Combs' lawyer says he'd been cooperating with the investigation and had even moved to New York because he knew charges were coming. But let's be real, cooperating is one thing, actually getting arrested is a whole different ballgame. The feds weren't messing around either. They didn't just arrest Combs, they also raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami. They were gathering every bit of evidence they could find to build their case against him. The shocking arrest. The tremors in the music world were just the beginning. On a seemingly ordinary day in New York City, Sean "Diddy" Combs was about to face a moment that would change his life forever. How did the king of hip-hop go from mingling with fans to being led away in handcuffs? Picture this. Diddy's walking down the streets of Manhattan, smiling and waving at fans. He's taking selfies, signing autographs, just another day in the life of a music icon. But little did he know, federal agents were closing in. It's like something out of a movie, right? The superstar going about his business while the authorities are about to turn his world upside down. On September 16, 2024, everything changed for Sean "Diddy" Combs. While he was staying at a Manhattan hotel, probably thinking about his next big business deal or music project, Homeland Security investigations agents swooped in and arrested him. Can you imagine how shocked he must have been? One minute he's a free man, the next he's facing some really serious federal charges. This wasn't just about that shocking video anymore. The feds had been building a case against Combs for months. They'd interviewed over 50 victims and witnesses, piecing together a much bigger picture of alleged criminal activity. The video was just the final piece of evidence they needed to make their move. Now, you might be wondering why Homeland Security was involved in arresting a music mogul. Well, that's because the charges against Combs were way more serious than your average celebrity scandal. We're talking federal crimes here. The kind of stuff that can land you in prison for a long time. The arrest sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Here was one of the biggest names in hip-hop, a guy who'd been at the top of his game for decades, being led away in handcuffs. It wasn't just fans who were shocked. Other celebrities and industry insiders were left wondering what this meant for the music world as a whole. What's really interesting is that Combs' lawyer says he'd been cooperating with the investigation and had even moved to New York because he knew charges were coming. But let's be real, cooperating is one thing, actually getting arrested is a whole different ball game. The feds weren't messing around either. They didn't just arrest Combs, they also raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami. They were gathering every bit of evidence they could find to build their case against him. This wasn't some small-time investigation. It was a full-scale federal operation. The charges against Diddy. The charges against Sean "Diddy" Combs are way more serious than your typical celebrity scandal. We're talking about federal crimes that could land him in prison for a long time. Let's break down what he's being accused of and why it's such a big deal. First up, there's racketeering conspiracy. This isn't just about one bad thing Combs might have done, it's about running an entire criminal operation. The feds are saying Diddy wasn't just a music mogul, but the head of a whole illegal enterprise. That's some serious stuff. Then we've got sex trafficking charges. This means they think Combs was involved in moving people around for sexual purposes, often against their will. It's not just about consensual adult relationships. We're talking about exploitation and abuse. There are also charges related to forced labor. The authorities believe Combs was making people work for him under threats or coercion. This could be anything from personal assistants to performers being forced to do things they didn't want to do. But that's not all. Combs is also facing charges of transportation to engage in prostitution. This means he's accused of moving people across state lines for sexual services. It's another way the feds are saying he was using his power and influence for illegal activities. The indictment even mentions something called freak-offs. These were apparently drug-fueled sexual performances that Combs is accused of organizing. The feds say these events could last for days and were often recorded. It's a pretty wild accusation against someone who was seen as a respected businessman and artist. What's really interesting is how all these charges paint a picture of Combs as more than just a guy who made some mistakes. The authorities are saying he was running a whole system of abuse and exploitation. They're accusing him of using intimidation and violence to control people and get what he wanted. The indictment talks about a history of this kind of behavior. It's not just one incident. The feds are saying this was Combs's way of doing business for years. They've been collecting evidence from all sorts of places, including financial records and electronic communications. Now, it's important to remember that these are just charges right now. Combs hasn't been found guilty of anything yet. His lawyer says he's not a criminal, just an imperfect person. They're planning to fight these charges in court. But if Combs is found guilty, it could mean the end of his career and his freedom. These aren't the kind of charges you just bounce back from. We're talking about potentially decades in prison and a completely ruined reputation. No bail for the bad boy. In a move that shocked many, a judge denied Combs bail following his arrest on federal sex trafficking charges. This decision is pretty unusual for someone of Combs' status and wealth, showing just how serious the authorities are taking these allegations. So why did the judge decide to keep Diddy behind bars? Well, it all comes down to the severity of the charges against him. We're not talking about some minor celebrity scandal here. These are serious federal crimes. The judge looked at the charges, which include racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking, and decided they were too serious to risk letting Combs out on bail. But that's not the only reason. The prosecutors argued that Combs might try to run if he was let out. They told the judge that given how big this case is and how much trouble Combs could be in, he might be tempted to flee. And let's face it, with Combs' money and connections, he could probably disappear pretty easily if he wanted to. This decision to keep Combs locked up surprised a lot of people. Many thought his wealth and influence would be enough to get him released. After all, we've seen plenty of rich and famous people post bail and walk free while waiting for their trial. But not this time. The judge's decision shows that no matter how much money or power you have, some charges are just too serious to ignore. Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, wasn't happy about this at all. He told reporters, "Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent." Agnifilo also said that the evidence against Combs is extremely problematic, suggesting that they think they can beat these charges in court. But for now, Combs is staying put in jail. It's a big change for someone who's used to private jets and luxury yachts. This whole situation is making people wonder about how the justice system treats celebrities and wealthy individuals. Usually we expect them to get special treatment, but Combs' case is proving that sometimes the law applies to everyone, no matter how famous or rich you are. The fall of an empire. As the dust settled on Combs' arrest, a shocking realization set in. His empire wasn't just shaken, it was crumbling. What would happen to the legacy of one of hip-hop's biggest names? And more importantly, who else might go down with him? Sean Diddy Combs was once at the top of the music world. He had hit songs, successful record labels, and a lifestyle that most people could only dream of. But now, all of that is in jeopardy. The arrest and the video that came before it have changed everything for Combs. People are looking at Combs differently now. They're questioning everything about him, his music, his business deals, even his charity work. It's like someone turned on a bright light and now everyone can see the cracks in his carefully built image. This isn't just about one bad night caught on camera. The charges against Combs paint a picture of someone who might have been doing bad things for a long time. Now, fans and people in the music industry are wondering if they ever really knew the real Diddy. The music world is in shock. Combs was more than just a rapper or a producer. He was a symbol of success in hip-hop. He showed that you could start from nothing and build an empire. But now, that empire is starting to fall apart. Brands that used to love being associated with Diddy are now trying to distance themselves. They don't want their names linked to someone facing such serious charges. It's like watching dominoes fall. One by one, Combs' business connections are disappearing. This whole situation has started some big conversations in the entertainment industry. People are talking about power and how it can be misused. They're asking questions like, how did Combs get away with this behavior for so long? Were there people who knew and didn't say anything? It's not just about Combs anymore. His case is making people look at other powerful figures in the music world. Everyone's wondering who might be next. It's like a game of musical chairs, and no one knows when the music might stop. The #MeToo movement has played a big part in all of this. It's made people more aware of how power can be abused, especially in industries like music and movies. Combs' case is seen as another example of this problem, and it's making people demand change. Combs' lawyer says he's not a perfect person, but he's also not a criminal. But with all the evidence piling up, it's getting harder for people to believe that. The video, the charges, the stories from people who say they were hurt by Combs, it's all adding up to a pretty damaging picture. The industry backs away. As Combs' empire crumbles, a question looms: who will be left standing by his side? The answer might surprise you, and it's changing the face of the music industry as we know it. The fallout from Sean Diddy Combs' arrest is sending shockwaves through the entertainment world. Artists, executives, and brands that once fought to be associated with the music mogul are now scrambling to distance themselves. It's like watching a game of hot potato, with everyone trying to drop their connection to Combs as fast as they can. This sudden shift is more than just about saving face. It's a sign of how serious these allegations are and how much they've damaged Combs' reputation. Think about it. This is a guy who was once seen as the king of hip-hop, a symbol of success and power in the music world. Now people can't get away from him fast enough. One of the biggest blows came from Howard University. They decided to cut ties with Combs after the allegations came out. This is a big deal because Howard is a prestigious, historically black university, and Combs had been a major donor. The fact that they're willing to give up that money shows just how toxic Combs' brand has become. But it's not just educational institutions backing away. Other artists in the music industry are staying quiet or openly distancing themselves from Combs. People who used to brag about working with Diddy are now acting like they barely know him. It's like he's become radioactive in the industry he once ruled. Brands are also jumping ship. Companies that used to pay big money to have Combs promote their products are now trying to erase any connection to him. This is hitting Combs where it really hurts, in his wallet. A lot of his empire was built on these brand deals and partnerships, and now they're disappearing faster than you can say, bad boy for life. This mass exodus is having a huge impact on Combs' business empire. His record label, Bad Boy Records, is facing an uncertain future. Artists signed to the label are probably wondering if they should start looking for new homes. The same goes for his other businesses, like his clothing line and his alcohol brands. When the man at the top falls, everything underneath starts to shake. More victims come forward. More accusers came forward with shocking stories that spanned decades. Could this be the tipping point that changes how the music industry deals with abuse of power? Just when everyone thought the Diddy scandal couldn't get any worse, it did. Multiple civil lawsuits have been filed against Sean "Diddy" Combs, accusing him of sexual assault and misconduct. These new allegations are adding even more weight to the case against the once untouchable music mogul. Let's break down some of the accusations that have come to light. 4 women have stepped forward, claiming Combs raped, assaulted, and abused them over the past 3 decades. That's a long time for these stories to stay hidden, and it's making people wonder how many more victims might be out there. One of the most shocking claims involves a minor. This particular allegation has sent shockwaves through the music industry and is putting Combs' entire entertainment empire at risk. It's not just about his reputation anymore. We're talking about serious legal consequences if these claims are proven true. Dawn Richard, who used to be part of the group Danity Kane, has filed her own lawsuit. She says Combs sexually assaulted and harassed her, and even treated her inhumanely. Richard claims Combs groped her and didn't provide basic needs during their working relationship. It's a disturbing picture of what life might have been like for young artists under Combs' control. Another woman, Joey Dickerson-Neal, has come forward with a truly horrifying story. She alleges that Combs drugged and raped her way back in 1991, but it gets even worse. Dickerson-Neal says Combs recorded the assault and then shared the footage without her permission. If true, this shows a pattern of abuse that goes back to the very beginning of Combs' career. The accusations keep piling up. Liza Gardner filed a suit claiming that Combs and another R&B singer, Aaron Hall, sexually assaulted her. And there's another lawsuit that alleges Combs and a former Bad Boy label president gang raped a 17-year-old girl. These stories are painting a picture of a man who might have been abusing his power for decades. Even people who worked closely with Combs are speaking out. Rodney "Lil Rod" Jones, a music producer, filed a lawsuit saying that Combs sexually harassed and threatened him. Jones claims he was forced into sexual acts with sex workers that Combs hired. It's showing that the alleged abuse wasn't limited to just women. Men in the industry might have been victims too. As more victims come forward, the number of lawsuits against Combs is growing. 3 more women have recently stepped up with allegations of sexual assault, making his legal troubles even more complicated. It's like watching dominoes fall. Each new accusation seems to encourage more people to speak up about their experiences. Dawn Richard's attorney made a powerful statement about all this. He said that the recent allegations against Combs, including the video evidence of his assault on Cassie, marked a significant moment for victims seeking justice. It's like the dam has finally broken, and people who were afraid to speak up before are finding the courage to tell their stories. Diddy's defense. Despite the mountain of evidence and accusations piling up against him, Sean "Diddy" Combs isn't about to go down without a fight. The music mogul is firmly denying all allegations and preparing to defend himself in court. Let's take a look at how Combs and his legal team are responding to these shocking charges. First things first, Combs has made it clear that he believes he's innocent. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, has been vocal about his client's stance, describing Combs as an innocent man with nothing to hide. This is a bold statement given the severity of the charges and the video evidence that's been made public. Agnifilo didn't stop there. He went on to criticize the prosecution, saying, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office." This suggests that Combs' legal team thinks there might be some issues with how the case is being handled. One of the key points in Combs' defense strategy seems to be asking the public to wait for all the facts before making judgments. Agnifilo stated, "Please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts." This is an interesting approach, especially given how much information has already been made public through the video and various lawsuits. Combs himself has spoken out about the allegations, calling them sickening. He's even gone as far as to claim that his accusers are looking for a quick payday. This is a pretty strong accusation, suggesting that Combs believes there might be some financial motivation behind the charges against him. The defense team is also trying to cast doubt on the evidence being used against Combs. They're arguing that a lot of it is based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. This could be an attempt to discredit some of the claims made against Combs in the various lawsuits that have been filed. It's worth noting that while Combs is denying the criminal charges, he's not claiming to be perfect. His legal team has acknowledged that Combs has made mistakes in the past. However, they're drawing a clear line between past errors and the serious criminal behavior he's being accused of now. One of the biggest challenges Combs is facing right now is the decision to deny him bail. His lawyer has indicated that they plan to appeal this decision. This shows that Combs is willing to fight every aspect of this case, from the charges themselves to the conditions of his detention. Agnifilo has emphasized that Combs is determined to fight these charges vigorously. This suggests we might be in for a long and complicated legal battle. It's not just about Combs' freedom anymore, it's about his entire legacy and reputation. The defense strategy seems to be focusing on a few key points: questioning the motivations of the accusers, challenging the evidence, and asking for the public to withhold judgment. It's a complex approach for a complex case.